This one has to be my favorite story from the election. All of those Latinos in Florida who voted for Trump and voted Republican are now getting a smackdown from the progressives who say, how dare you? You are not really on our side, and you are exhibiting whiteness. Seriously, long Twitter threads from the critical race theory progressive left attacking Cubans and Latinos and Venezuelans for daring to say, dude, we experienced socialism. It's not good. We don't want none of that. Remarkably, in what was considered to be a safe Democratic seat in Miami, Republicans, too, have won. This is crazy. You know why? It's really simple. People who have experienced socialism are saying, I don't quite like that. I think it's funny. It reminds me of the durian. You know what the durian is? It's this fruit that smells like rotting corpse. I was in Thailand and there was a sign on the train as like no durian allowed. Why? Apparently it tastes good. Okay. I was told it tastes like a creamy kind of marzipan. I never tried it because you see, you might hear those good things. Oh, it's delicious. You really got to have it. It's so good. And then someone brings it and cracks it up and you go, that's horrible. I don't want to smell that. Although I did have one of those mochi things with durian filling. It was pretty good. Didn't smell bad. It was kind of weird. But so a lot of people who have experienced it know how bad it is. But if you hear the sweet nothings, this is why many people said, I'm voting for Donald Trump. They have friends, they have family members who have fled socialism. Well, here we go. Pro-Trump Latinos now being exiled from the progressive coalition. It's a shame, isn't it? Not only did President Donald Trump win Florida, contrary to the expectations of the perpetually chastened pollsters, but as of Wednesday morning, it looks like he won it by a slightly larger margin than he did in 2016, 51% versus 49%. This time, he had significantly more support from the Latino community. The president improved his raw vote total in the pivotal Miami-Dade County, likely because he captured a larger share of the Cuban-American vote. Hillary Clinton won the county by a 30-point margin in 2016. With 86% of precincts reporting, Biden's lead had shrunk to just 9 points in Miami-Dade County. And Trump had improved his margins among precincts in the county where Cubans make up more than a quarter of the electorate by nearly 14 points. There was a story out of Louisville. Cuban restaurant being attacked by Black Lives Matter. I assure you, they heard that story. They showed up and smashed a pot. They said, you're going to pay us. You're going to pay our cause. Otherwise, Jimmy, smash. Shattered that flower pot. Otherwise, things are going to get bad. You know what I'm saying? Very mafioso. And the guy called it out. He said, my family fled. He fled this kind of stuff. I tell you, man, there are people in these communities. They have friends. They have connections. And I'm sure they all shared that story. A whisper network, as it were. This guy tells his family. Family calls, abuela down in, maybe in South Carolina. She takes a trip to Orlando and she's like, did you hear about that? This is crazy. My grandson. Things like that. People talk to each other. They heard this and they said no. Well, of course, now we're hearing that the project of the activist left has been to bind all oppressed people together in a struggle against every ism imaginable. I'm not going to read through all these. Latinos in particular are an example of the inherent contradictions and difficulties of this task. To fight gendered language, highly educated and otherwise privileged college activists have asserted that the gender-neutral term Latinx, like Kleenex, Latinx, should replace the traditional Latino and Latina. They have won over many in the media, but very few Latinos, just 2% of whom actually like the term. It appears once again the combination of woke signaling on cultural issues and far-left economic views that looks attractive to Oberlin College ethnic studies majors is in fact unpopular with a great many minority and immigrant voters. This is something the Democratic Party will need to bear in mind, even if Biden ekes out a win. Hear, hear. I stand in solidarity with my Cuban American brothers and sisters, citizens, visitors alike. Let me tell you. And I'm saying visitors alike because this is not about the vote. It's quite literally about the ideology that we would all reject. Now, I am not Cuban. I am not Latino, nor am I Hispanic. But I am, as most of you know, second generation mixed race, which is why I have said repeatedly, I reject the left's proposal. Under Donald Trump, I get to be an American. And that means I can sit down and you hear that song where it's like, I will vote for Donald Trump. That song's great. I love it. The music, it's like you got Trump going like this with his fists. It's amazing that, Trump's dancing to it. I can dance to it, and we can respect each other while understanding different cultures. That's like the true rainbow utopia. But it's remarkable that they try and make it seem like Trump is the evil white supremacist when they're the ones who want racial segregationism and will smear and attack these people. And I bring you now the author of the 1619 Project. Again, we see how expertise in race, racism, racial history is an essential but underdeveloped journalistic skill. That Latinos, Asian and white votes are split is not surprising. It is the uniformity of the black vote that is exceptional, and it stems from a singular racial experience. There she goes. Latinos, Asian, and white voters. You see, that's why I say my Cuban-American brothers and sisters, because I think we all understand respecting other people, letting people live their lives, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And we're split on these issues. Sure. Look, I'm not going to assert what life is like for a black person, for an Asian person, for a white person, for anybody. I don't know. I think when I'm told all these things about white people, I say, I got to be honest. I don't have that experience. I didn't grow up in a well-to-do suburb where I went to high school and played, basketball or whatever on the team. I actually grew up dealing with bits of racism here and there. It happened to my family. Of course it did. And I grew up as an American with other people from different parts of the world who were also just American. I say other parts of the world, like I had some friends who emigrated here when they were very young, became citizens through their family, with their family. And, Filipino, Mexican, white, black, Asian, everybody. And we were all just different, but the same. The one thing we had in common where we were all friends was we were just American kids in the south side of Chicago. These people want us to what? Not hang out with each other? Nah, that's messed up. And you know what? Trump supporters reject your racism and your neo-segregationism. My friends, I give you something incredible out of Florida. Take a look at who went for Democrats. The majority of age 65 plus, that doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but they went for Democrats by an increase of 1.5 points compared to 2016. White, fewer college grads by 0.5%. That's right. White voters in Florida moved to the Democratic Party. But you want to know who moved slightly to the Republican Party? Why it's majority black, why it's majority Hispanic, why it's Cuban neighborhoods. And of course, we see rural, high income, suburban, and Obama-Trump areas. All in all, Florida moved to the right quite a bit. But let me just stress, the real progressive, I got to fly in here. The real progressive coalition, in my opinion, is not the far left. The Republicans made several gains in the House through female candidates. That's right. Getting more women in Congress. There's your diversity, right? It's looking like it's really close in Michigan, but John James for the Senate might actually win. I actually think he should for one simple reason. I much prefer veteran politicians than I do career politicians. I don't know a whole lot about John James. It's really close. But he is a veteran who served several tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I think that's somebody who's willing to put their life on the line for this country. And they have definitely proven to me they care more about just becoming a politician and making money. It's not a guarantee. Not every veteran is a good person. But I got to tell you, you give me a career politician who's like, elect me so that I can lay on my back, expose my belly and pour grape juice on my, or wine, like hedonism bot or whatever. Eat grapes. I'm not interested. I know not every career politician is like that, but when I see a veteran, I see somebody who said, I'm going to join up, and not every job is a risk of your life. A lot of people don't understand this. There's a lot of people who think everyone who joins the military is like going to risk their lives. There are people who work on computers. There are people who cook food. Not everybody's on the front lines, but a lot of people are. And this guy, John James, did. So I tell you what, he may be bringing diversity to the Republican Party. I honestly don't care. What I care is he's running against some old fogey, and he himself is a young and strapping. I think he served several terms in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that to me shows that he's going to have a strong will. He's going to be calm and collected, and it's going to bring great leadership. I think it's similar with Dan Crenshaw. I think Tulsi Gabbard. One of the reasons why I very much supported Tulsi Gabbard is because she is a major in the National Guard. Listen, Donald Trump doesn't have military experience, and I think the commander in chief should. I don't like career politicians. Sometimes you get what you get, right? Trump's a businessman. He's a tradesman. I should say he's not a tradesman. Probably isn't the right word. What I mean is he deals in trade, so he understands how to help the markets. Fine, I accept that. But when I look at the Republican Party right now, the left, the Democrats, want a monopoly on diversity, but they've taken it to a dark place. You know what I want to see? I do like diversity. I like diversity passively. I like saying like, oh yeah, it's really cool. Great. God, this fly is really, I like the idea that we have a diversity as a natural product of our good policy and our understanding of one another and a natural healing of the problems we've experienced in the past. And I think we are working towards that end. So when I see politicians who are winning, who are female or, non-white or whatever, I don't go, I'm going to vote for that person because of the color of their skin or whatever. I say, what are their policies? Do they have experience? That's really cool, actually. That's about it. The left thinks they can control everything. They can't. And this is an example of it. Majority Hispanics swung 11.5 points for the Republicans and Cuban neighborhoods by 13 points. I say bravo to them. No one is owed your vote. There are people asking me, do you think Joe Jorgensen cost Trump the victory in this or that place? No, because people who voted for Joe Jorgensen did so because she was the right candidate for them. And I respect them for doing so. The people who voted for Biden based on his policies, I respect them for doing so as well. The people who vote against other people, I'm not going to be mean, but I'm not a big fan of that idea of voting against someone. I voted for Trump because there are things that he's doing that I like, not perfect. And there are things that Biden has done that I do not like. The people who chose to vote for George Jorgensen have my respect because they looked at her policies and said, I think this is the right choice. Ken Bone said it, and you're not gonna convince me to shame anybody. If people choose to vote for Joe Jorgensen, there's no guarantee they would have voted for anybody anyway. I'll leave it there. The left doesn't care about these people. They care about having a monopoly on diversity. That's it. And they don't actually care about what you think when you finally join the ranks. Because if it turns out you don't like socialism, they say, well, you weren't actually part of the progressive coalition anyway. Well, there it is. We're on a roller coaster, friends. There's a lot more to come. We'll see how things play out. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.